Hello, everybody. This is Dan Vlamis from Vlamis Software Solutions, and we're going to talk about Oracle BI 12.2.1 new features. We'll begin here momentarily. Just give people a chance to click in. Sometimes people take 2 minutes to get in, so we'll be talking very soon here. Well, perhaps we should go ahead and get started. I see a couple more people have joined, so let's go ahead and get going. I'm joined here by Brian Terry of Vlamis Software Solutions to kind of help me out with questions, so thank you for joining, Brian. And let's go ahead and start. This is part of a series of new features, part of a series of webcasts that we came out after attending Oracle Open World, and this is a part of a series of independent Oracle user group BWA SIG Techcasts. I originally gave this on November 20th, and then we're repeating this now in December 16th for those that missed that prior webcast. What we're going to go through today is a little bit of background on IOUG, BWA, and a little background on Vlamis very quickly, and then we'll get into reviewing the features. There'll be a lot of new features that we talk about, but most of this is going to be done in demo format. Also, you can ask questions during the webcast. Brian's going to help me monitor those questions that come up during the webcast. You can find the chat window or the questions tab on there and ask questions as things goes along, and we'll try and address that. And then we'll end purposefully a little bit early so that you can get those questions in, and we'll address those that we think are especially applicable to a wider audience as we get to that at the very end of the webcast. A little background, just to give you a little information, something going on is BWA Summit is 2016 is taking place January 26th through 28th of 2016, and I happen to be very involved in that conference as the co-conference chair. And so just wanted to let you all know, for those that follow things going on in the BWA SIG, the agenda, the grid of sessions is now live. So if you have been thinking, gee, that might be interesting to go to that conference, but I don't know what all is being presented, we've had actually sessions out there for a while, but now the grid itself is live, so you should be able to bring that up. Let me just show you real quick what that looks like. You can go to bwasummit.org and take a look at that. And if you then go to bwasummit.org and click on the agenda button on here, it'll bring up a agenda, and you can look at this. This is just a thumbnail. If you click on any of the grids or PDF of the entire agenda, it'll bring it up. I happen to use a reader to bring this up. It brings up a PDF file, and then if you look at that PDF file, you can see all the great, fantastic sessions we're going to be giving at the summit. As well, last year we didn't have this feature, but this year we do. If you want to drill in on a specific subject, gee, I want to see what that one is, when you click on that link, it'll bring up a browser window, and you can find out more about that specific abstract. And so that agenda is now live out on the website as of something like last night or the day before, and you can see all the stuff taking place on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday. Now, mind you, some of the details may change on this. We're still juggling some things, but it's going to be a great session with great conference with 6 simultaneous tracks taking place, including hands-on labs where you can actually get dirty with the software, try it out in our lab environment running on the Oracle Cloud, and be hands-on. Make sure you bring your laptop for that session. It'll be a great conference for that. So with that, take a look at that great content and come join us. A little of who we are. My name is Dan Vlamis, and a little background, we've been doing these types of, we've been in this space for over 20 years, developed more than 200 Oracle BI systems. We specialize in Oracle-based data warehousing, business intelligence, and analytics type of content. We also are authors on the book on data visualization for Oracle Business Intelligence 11G, and you can find out more information at vlamis.com with our blog, our papers. We make all of our presentations, including this one as well, will be out on the website. So you can download and show it to coworkers and that type of stuff. We also, just be aware, we're beta testers for OBIE 12C. That's where we got a lot of that content. So we got a head start in working on the project, and indeed, we've given several webcasts on this topic. This is part of a series of month-long series of IOUG Be With Techcasts. We started out by talking about Oracle BI 12.2.1 new features. Then we did a webcast on the new stuff that we learned at Oracle Open World 2015, kind of our annual, 5th annual, as a matter of fact, unauthorized BI and analytics scoop session. Kind of a little more tongue-in-cheek, fun session on what we learned at Oracle Open World. Then we did a session on December 2 on specifically the process of upgrading from Oracle BI 11G to Oracle BI 12.2.1. And kind of taking you through the process of what we'd worked on with a specific client on what did we learn in doing that, and what kind of gotchas are in that process. So if you're interested in that, take a look at that on our website. Just last week, the Oracle Data Visualization Cloud Service was launched about a week, 2 weeks ago, and that is now live. If you're interested in that, we also did a live demo of that new Oracle Data Visualization Cloud Service that really focused especially on the features of Visual Analyzer, or the data visualization component of Oracle BI. So if you're interested in, this is meant to go through what some of the new features are. Visual Analyzer is probably the big message from that in terms of what's new. So if you're interested in especially that component, you may look at that webcast with a few exceptions, and in that webcast we go through what those exceptions are. With a few exceptions, the Data Visualization Cloud Service demo proves to be a pretty good way to see what's new in BI 12.2.1. All these available at the URL of lamis.com, and then if you just navigate to papers, look at the bottom of 2015, they're in chronological order, you'll find this month-long series of Techcasts and videos, live videos of all of that. We're recording today's session as well, and you'll see that out there later today or tomorrow. This is also in a series of webcasts that we've been giving on the OBIE major releases since 11G came out. Just to give you a sense of what some of the highlights of that were, the first release of 11G was 11.1.1.3, and then we did a webcast on 11.1.1.5 when that came out with the changes and new features. And I've put on this slide the major new features that I saw as this was added on. So you can see what new features were added in each release coming up to now 12.2.1, which came out in October 2015, right before Oracle Open World. It's actually the Friday before Oracle Open World that came out. So you'll see a bunch of, and you can get any of these presentations at valamis.com on these links, and take a look at those new features in each release. So this is going to focus especially on the end user enhancements, and we'll talk about that mostly. One of the major things is the Alta user interface skin, which is new in 12.2.1, focuses more on the content. It has more of a clean page design. This is a story that Oracle has been going through for several releases in cleaning things up, getting more towards a flat interface where you're focusing on the content of the data. It has a redesigned classic BI homepage, and it tends to be more consistent with other Oracle products. And Oracle runs these releases through a usability lab so they can focus on what do the people find confusing as they use the software. So there's the big headline release on this is the new Visual Analyzer data visualizations, and that is to especially ease data exploration. It's a new interface, and by the way, in case there's any confusion, it does cost extra on, so if you are looking at upgrading to Oracle BI 12C from 11, That upgrade generally is all for free. Usually, if you're on support, you get the upgrades for free. But this new capability of doing things with the Visual Analyzer interface is an extra cost option to Oracle BI. Whether you have Oracle BI Enterprise Edition, bought it as OBIEE, or if you bought it as OBI Foundation Suite, the Visual Analyzer component is an extra cost item. See, obviously, your rep or us for more details on what that is. But it provides then especially an interface that is designed for exploring through the data. And that's why it's kind of a different type of animal. It is not just there for a while when we were hearing about this, we thought of this as, quote, the new answers interface. It does meet some of that need, but it is a totally new interface experience, all done on the web with HTML5. We'll show some of that, but it is a new feature that you can look at for that. Some of the other capabilities of that is a data mashup capability, the ability to add your own data files as an end user. So if I want to looking at a dashboard worth of data that perhaps IT has curated and has generally said, yes, this is our data warehouse data, this is what you can look at, then that is still there with your RPD file. But if then an end user says, I want to extend that, I've been talking to them for 6 months about adding this additional data source, I've got it here in these spreadsheets, now the end user can add that own data themselves to their BI analyses, upload that to the web server, and then explore that along with their data. So you upload a file, and then you can, it's just another data source, and you look at it with the same, we'll show you an example of that, but it's built into the interface now. And I wanted even to show, as part of this, one of the things you can do is select from that, and there is a XSA type of function that allows you to refer to your own spreadsheets and the score column, in this case, of myfile.xls. All of that gets blended together. It then ends up being able to be viewed on your dashboard. So you can access the data directly from an analysis without any RPD dependencies, without having to bring it into the whole RPD structure. That's part of the whole Visual Analyzer interface. So with that, let me kind of jump in and show you some of these things that you can do with this software. So I've got here running, this is Sample App, by the way, this is Sample App 511, and I wanted to show quickly here some of the things that you can do with that. By the way, if you're not familiar with Sample App, we do all of our demonstrations with BI pretty much off of the Sample App image, and it's important enough that I want to just show you how I find this type of stuff. If you just enter into Google Oracle Sample App OBIEE, pretty much the first hit you run up against is OBIE samples. And in here, you can download this entire virtual machine. Here are the zip files for bringing it down, and you just bring down a VirtualBox image, and all of that contains all of the Sample App data. And this just came out about a week ago. Sample App went live at version 511. With this, that runs on top of OBI 12c. If you want to play with the software and don't want to have to install it yourself, or you want a sandbox environment with data already done, it's a very nice interface for doing that. So come in here and take a look at Sample App. This is where we get all of our good stuff. All right, so coming back then to my dashboard, here is what Sample App looks like. If I come in here and look at the index of this, Sample App 511 index, they have dashboards here for all the new stuff. And by the way, the things that are in bright blue are the things that are new in version 511. And that's how I generate this webcast, going through this and find all the great stuff in here. So look at the main index. This is just for 1 and 2. If I click on full index, this is all the dashboards. Every one of these links is a new dashboard. All right, so I said I would go in and show what Visual Analyzer looks like. Here is my Visual Analyzer interface, and if I come in and create a new project, I'm going to come here and just create a brand new project based on the sample sales data that comes with sample app. So this is, I'm going to specify I want to look at sample sales and add that to the project. This is what the interface looks like. Perhaps I'm interested in looking at monthly data for facts, and just base facts. Now, this interface on the left, this is what the Visual Analyzer interface looks like, by the way. If I want to look at month, I simply click on month and click on revenue, control-click on there, and then if I drag these over here, it'll give me an interface of looking at revenue by month. One of the features of the Visual Analyzer interface is the ability to have on the left side a tab that allows me to change the types of presentations that you might want to see, all this type of stuff, and as well the brushing capability, the ability to then hover over specific data values, and it'll tell me what's there. I can as well come in here and add other attributes of these salespeople and such to this type of visualization. Perhaps I want to look at this by size, by color, that type of thing. I can drag it over. If I want to look at colors of this, here is BizTech, FunPod, and HomeView, all looked at by on the x-axis by month, and then the colors are for the individual brands. So this is the type of experience you have. As I brush over this, you can see it hover. It highlights the specific type of product I'm looking at. There are a lot more features in this. I just wanted to give you a sense of what that interface looks like for that. Let me go and show one more thing. If I right-click in here and add a data source, actually I'm going to turn off the brand hovering on this. Let me show one other thing. If I come in here and drag up brand to the filtering, this is a new way of filtering through products. And if I add these in, I can see the data for each of the brands or remove these and look at individual FunPod, HomeView, and such. And the ability to filter is built in now into the interface rather than having a separate criteria tab and a separate results tab. It's built into the interface now to look at this. So I'm now looking at FunPod and HomeView. If you want to look at one versus the other, that's all available in this filter pane that's built into the interface rather than switching back and forth with various tabs. There's a lot more to show in this. One of the things that I want to do is show the additional data sources. So let's upload a file. I've got the same data or this data now broken down by seasonality. So I'm going to upload the seasonality worksheet. So this is on my hard drive, you can see, and I click on Open, and it's going to upload that file to the server, and that's just copying the XLS file. It notices that the name of the column here called T02 Peer Month is the same as what's up on there, and otherwise you can specify how you want to match things and override, but if your column names are exactly the same, it notices that and automatically sets up the metadata to match on some of these attributes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some new data by seasonality of this. I've actually gone in and specified, hey, I think these are the seasonality measures I want to do. If I want to override some of the aggregation rules, I can do so. It's guessed that this is state column as an attribute of that I want to look at, and then these are measures, but you can change that. If I then add that to the project, it will add that now, all of those columns. It specifies, hey, how do you want to do the join? This is how I'm going to do the join. That's fine. I'll accept that default and let it go ahead and extend it that way. Notice that it adds seasonality then as another data source, and I can add seasonality and seasonality index to my graph. So let's go ahead and drag this over to the values area, and I'll look at this for seasonality index as well as revenue and see how those line up. That seasonality index is then, and I want to look at this not by brand. So let me remove that column. It was a line up better. So now I can see what my revenue is versus what my seasonality index is from my spreadsheet that's stored on my hard drive. So that's a good example of data mashup. The data from my spreadsheets can either provide a new measure, or quite often what I might do is extend a dimension to add new dimension values, or provide additional types of attributes of those dimensions so that I can break out the data in, perhaps I have demographic data that for my customers that I want to join to, and I have that type of information in a spreadsheet. Eventually, Oracle plans on, from what I understand from their presentations, they plan on extending this to include other local data sources, making something like a JDBC connection to other data sources. But for now, it's really just spreadsheets that's available in BI12C for that. All right, with that, I just wanted to give you a sense of, the same save buttons are here, the ability to save this type of presentation. I can change the visualization just by changing this to an area graph, something like that, a pie graph, stacked bar. All that type of stuff is still available in this type of presentation, and the thing's called Visual Analyzer, another product that runs on BI12C. So let me go through then some of these the enhancements that you see in here. There's an enhanced subject area pane. It includes the ability to search through the metadata. If I just click on this little magnifying glass, I can search through the metadata to find some of this. You can also right-click on all the graphs and cells. So now if you want to sort on a specific column or drill down a specific column in a bar graph, you can. That type of thing is new for really all of the visualizations. There's a new view type called the heat matrix view type that renders using HTML5. This type of thing you could hand code yourself using conditional formatting, but now there's a built-in type of view called the heat matrix view type. You know what? This shows well enough. Let me go ahead and just show what that looks like in here. So I'm going to go ahead and show from Sample App. Let me find it in here. I think I've got it in the same pane. So if I come into my catalog, I'll show you what is available in Sample App and then how we've improved it using the heat matrix view. Oh, by the way, while I'm waiting for this to paint, it also has the dashboard capabilities, obviously still there and such. So let me go ahead and open up the conditional formatted heat matrix. This view here is from Sample App using conditional formatting. And so the rules behind how to display revenue on the left was done such that all of the figures where revenue is between, let's say, 640,000 and 651,000 are done in orange. And the rule is such that a yellow palette is picked for all of the values with this range. And then the heading for this was specified as top 5, top 10, all done, if you will, manually. Now we have the ability to create this with a heat matrix view, and I went and just basically did that same exact view, but using a heat matrix view. Let me show you what that looks like. If I come down and edit this, this view type, visualization that contains two different views, I'm going to go in and show how this was created. So I have a compound layout here. Here's the legend that was hand done for this. This heat matrix view, if I come in and edit this, you can see how you can use the new heat matrix view. In this case, I've specified the columns are the lines of business and the rows are for the various offices. I simply specify color by revenue and use percentile binning. And I can specify quartile, I can specify decile, whatever I want to do. 6 different values, and it automatically changes this and specifies what are my labels. By the way, this looks a lot like the way maps are done, where you can specify the binning properties and you can specify which color is used for each of these, or just let it use its default color palette, or you can specify other color palettes, something that, especially for their data visualization work, we rely on highly and we can add our own color ramps and that type of thing to the Answers interface. All this, by the way, is built into Answers. This is what Answers looks like in the 12C release and what the heat matrix view looks like in that. So I can then revert back or click on Done, and it would accept what I've done and save that to my dashboard that I've built with that. So anyway, that's what the new heat matrix view, if you're then looking at it and you want to then, let me go ahead and click Done out of here. And then I can add new views. And if I come down here, you'll see heat matrix is just another type of view, just like tree maps, just like gauges, funnels, graphs. And by the way, a quick plug for looking at things, but maps are a native built-in view. It have been for a while in OBIEE. And you can add maps to your BI projects very easily, and they're very effective. All right, so, and then back on here, what that eliminates by using the heat matrix view, you don't have to specify these specific column properties, and you can see where everything is specifically hard-coded as to what the thresholds were on how you build that. There's also an improved method for creating groups, calculated items, and measures. The ability to use something with evaluate script, and you can specify specific scripts for doing R and incorporating R scripts into your BI projects. So that is just when you create a new measure in here. Let's go ahead and just show you where that is. If I create a new calculated measure in here and specify various functions in here, you can do aggregates, running aggregates. You all are probably familiar with these, but there's also now under time series calculations. While I'm here, I'll just show you there's a new forecast type of function that you can do to forecast your data going into the future. So rather than having to build all this plumbing into the RPD file, it's built into 12.2 now to do forecasts using the R engine that's running as part of OBIEE on the middle tier. You can specify a forecast, and it will run that forecast. There's algorithms to then, arguments that end up tailoring that. There's also a new analytics folder that allows you to do relatively simplistic, powerful things, but you can do clustering algorithms. Here's where the evaluate script is. You can specify the script path for running R. Outliers, regressions, and trend lines are all built into the product now, and showcases Oracle expanding the analytic capabilities of OBIEE. All right, so back to where these things are. There's new pre-built functions to add custom R scripts. Here's an example of running a forecast. You can see in the blue is the revenue figures, and then we have created a new measure called forecast. Here's the formula for it, by the way, forecast based facts, 1-revenue for time over at the monthly level, and forecast 6 more periods. And that creates a brand new measure called forecast, shown in the pink type, and allows you to see the data going for, obviously this is seasonal data, and looking at the forecast of not only here's the historical data, this is sort of reverse descending by time, and then here are the 6 months that we forecast, and notice it's modeled as being another measure that is displayed side by side in this type of graph. So nice to have now forecast. This dashboard was built, this is part of Sample App, by the way. You can specify the number of periods. This is a dashboard prompt that then gets thrown into this formula, so you can build that type of stuff yourself. So some extra thoughts on doing this. There is a cleaner interface for the users. The Visual Analyzer and Mashups allow people to explore their own data, add their own data to this, and the ability to add your own additional data is very powerful inside of Oracle BI. Rather than having what we found in our consultant engagements is that people, the ability to, rather than the necessity to have to put the data into a data warehouse and then have to model the data with the RPD, while it comes with some benefits, it puts a restriction on how end users can actually use the software. Now they can add their own data to there and be able to create their own mashups on this. Now, that does, mind you, some extra thoughts on that, is that that now opens up kind of a can of worms for some people, in that they can create dashboards with whatever data they want. If they put it into an Excel file, they can change the numbers, they can do whatever they want. There is, in those types of data, you have no way of curating that data and making sure that it's accurate for the organization. So for some users, we anticipate for some companies to turn off that feature or at least heavily control it and allow some users to have access to that feature and some users, frankly, not. So we anticipate that as we work with our various companies in doing implementations. There's also the trend analysis and clustering is directly available for users. Kind of same type of thing. They can do their own, especially for power users of the system, do their own clustering. And there's now an ask and search capability in the Visual Analyzer home screen. So the ability to do your own searches through the metadata. And by the way, that searching is not only over the catalog objects, such as, maybe you named a report with a specific keyword. You can also specify, this is more of a back-end thing, but I wanted to go through how that represents itself in the front end. If the crawler is set to run periodically, which is a way most organizations do this, maybe on a nightly or a weekly basis, it'll crawl through all of the dimension values, and you can specify, I want to see sales for 2012 for widgets, and it'll just come up. You don't have to navigate through the data. You just do it through the ask and search interface in Visual Analyzer in the home screen. As well, the analytic tools are integrated. You can call R functions directly. I'll show that in a little bit. And then there's also some other things you may be interested is the ability to the installation of the software. Maybe that's not who's on this webcast, but there's a faster, simpler installation. We went through that especially when we talked about the upgrade process from 11G. If you're interested in those details, check out that webcast. But there's a simpler installation process that does not, for instance, use the Oracle Universal Installer that just allows you to install the software very quickly. It is an out-of-place migration, meaning that your 11G environment is not affected, and so you can install 12C and have it run side by side with 11G or obviously on another server. It is, however, a significant upgrade, obviously, to this new release. There's also, by the way, a migration utility that migrates your 11G WebCat, RPD, and security scheme to the new environment. There's also a baseline validation tool that goes back to 11.117. Again, we've talked about this especially in our upgrade webcast, but allows you to take a snapshot of what your dashboards look like, for instance, back in 11.117. Let's say you're moving from that or from 11.119. You take a snapshot of what those dashboards look like. Then when you bring your data up to 12, you can compare what your dashboards look like in 12 versus what they looked like in 11. And the algorithm even compares the pixel values of how it's displayed to the user, and will give you a percentage match of how closely those two align, so you can feel more confident about moving to the 12C environment. So take a look for that baseline validation tool. It's very slick in how it presents it, actually using the browser capability. So with that, let me go back and show some of these things live in what this looks like. And so I'm going to come in here and browse through some of these things in the dashboards. So here's our general index. If we come back and look at, for instance, if I want to come in and look at the forecast capability, this is what this dashboard looks like. How many months do you want to forecast? And for instance, can you generate the future months even if they don't exist in the warehouse? This is a prompt that's in here. Whoops, that one didn't come up. Let me come in and look at a different one. If I want to look at the sort of overview of the various different values in advanced analytics and Oracle R interfaces. So if I come in and look at number of projects by focus area, the ability to look at this is all based on an R script that runs to run all of this. And the example in Sample App, they come through here and pretty well document how all this works for all of these. And you can see there's a lot of different examples in here for looking at how they run these. And one of the things we do, by the way, is we come in here and we rip these things apart. I'll click on Edit in this analysis, go in and see how did they do this type of graph? What does the R script look like? That's why we tear apart what things look like in Sample App once we receive it and look through all these. And so I start by looking at the index of these, click on the blue links. Then the other thing, it's coming up later in the presentation, but I look at the documentation for what's new, and that's how I put together these webcasts. Let me go ahead and come back in here and show also on the search interface if I want to look at what all of the data that is, all of the values. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get lost in trying to figure out where the various columns are. There's a search capability if I want to find out all the ones that are revenue. And even as I type it, it'll show me where those various values are. And I can even type into here revenue for July if I had the search index turned on to be able to search through the data, and it'll pick the best visualization for those. The other thing I wanted to show is as you look at this, is the visualizations. When you save those away, they appear in the catalog for this. And another thing you can do in Visual Analyzer is be able to undo. When they added these, the undo capability is always there, and I can undo and redo any of the stuff. I don't know about you all, but when I've been using OBI, I always want to be able to have the capability, hey, why did that change? I didn't want to do that. You can always undo the latest action and just keep on undoing things as you do this. So that's what I especially wanted to showcase. As I mentioned, the Visual Analyzer capabilities, or especially if you look at the Data Visualization Cloud Service demo, you'll see a lot of that. Let me go through a couple more things in here. In the admin and development area, Baseline Validation Tool helps ease the migration and provides better migration from 11G. You create something for people that have used the BI Cloud Service, BICS environment, then you know what a bar file is, a business intelligence archive, and that helps simplify how you do application content backup and migration. There's the ability to create the bar file from an existing environment. Here's an example of the command that does that. You create the bar file from your current 11G environment, for instance, and then import it into the target environment. Now, we specifically say the current versus the target because that also works for 12C test going to 12C production, or from 12C dev going into 12C test, something like that. You can you have now a way of creating an archive of all of the changes that you made in a specific instance, and then bring those into your new environment. Gone as well is the necessity to create GUIDs. If anybody has had the issue where the GUIDs don't match and you need to regenerate those, they're gone now. So it eliminates even the problem. So there's also OPMN, the ability to start up and shut down your instances is much cleaner now. So you can specify in a script whether to start up. And there's really kind of a move towards, just sharing some of the behind the scenes, there's a move towards using script files to do more of this rather than a GUI to bring up and down the server. I think what's happened is just an editorial on that. I think Oracle has found that people want to integrate their Oracle BI startup, shutdown procedures, backup, all that type of stuff, to the rest of what they do in their environment. And so there's a movement towards making everything be an API call or a script that you run, and that way people can integrate it with other tools instead of relying on doing everything with Oracle. There's also some additional documentation that's in there now, and it's been reorganized in the 12C release. So now in the documentation area, you can look at the new documentation. This is the URL for the new documentation. If I click on that, it'll bring up the documentation. You can see what that looks like. And there's a getting started guide that's actually pretty good for getting started with these. Here's the guide on migrating from 11G. Gave us some of the information that we ended up showing. And then one thing that I always run into, I want to know what's new in this. I found that the Books tab, if you click on the Books tab and come down here to the end user portion and look at the user's guide for Oracle Business Intelligence, click on that, and then once you get in there, there's a section on new features for Oracle Business Intelligence users. And this is where I got the raw information for putting this webcast together. And I haven't had a chance to show everything in here, but this is where I get a lot of the information. This is how I put together each one of these webcasts, enhancements to each one of the individual features in here. Obviously, this enhancement to views, this is where the heat matrix stuff came from, and such. So this will talk about the fact that there's new visual analyzer interface, which is a lot bigger deal than what it looks like in here. So anyway, that's where that comes from. And there also, when I gave this before, there is a sample app 511 coming. That's what we used. At this point, it is now actually released just recently. That demonstrates the new features. There is also demos that are available on the YouTube channel that will go through a lot of these features in a lot more detail. And you can get those on YouTube at the Oracle BI Tech Demos channel, and they'll run through a lot of these new features on here. And that's where, again, I get a lot of this content. So with that, I'll just, before we get to questions, just another quick plug for BWA Summit 2016. You can look at that. Here are the other Techcasts, and for those that arrived late at the Techcast, this is in a series of webcasts, and you'll be able to find those at Papers 2015 under Valamis.com. And with that, here's some resources, and we'll turn things over for questions and see what questions people have and what people do. Now, real quick, I'll just remind you to ask questions. There should be a chat box or a questions tab on your control panel, and you can type those in and we'll address those as they come up. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on speakers and see from Brian what we have in the questions tab. And I can see actually we have one that's come in that I'll address in just a bit, but if you have any questions that come in, put them in here and we'll address those as they come up. I know we had some from before, from last time when we gave the webcast. All right. So Brian, do we have any that come in? Not yet? Okay. So we may end up ending early here if we don't have questions people have. I'll also invite you to take a look at the webcast that we did before. It's basically the same content. You can share it. The demos are always different each time. You can take a look at that, but let me put up the resources page in case people want to see that again. This is where you get the documentation, the information on sample app, the full URL, BWA Summit, and then if you want to check out IOUG or BWA, here's the information, or reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you all about what you find with Oracle BI 12. I can also share with you in the upgrading presentation, when we talked about that, we talked about some specific experiences in working with BI 12C when we ran with this with one of our customers during the beta program and then continuing on. All right, I see a question. How does the zero downtime work? In terms of zero downtime, I think they're talking about perhaps upgrading. Let me put this on speaker, and that way Brian can talk also.
Yeah, what they've basically done is with 12, they've kind of streamlined how they architect clustering. So from the downtime perspective of migration, obviously you would go ahead and, since it's out of place, you can move that up. But as far as just high availability in general, they've got that. And I think the pieces for that are actually coming as part of the multi-tenancy piece as well, which is coming out in the point release. But if you look at the new features, and especially the way you install and cluster with WebLogic now, they've smoothed that out quite a bit.
Yeah, so really, we talked a little bit about this in the upgrade presentation, but the clustering capability, that's where the C comes in Oracle BI 12c, the ability to go to the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And so the ability to have multiple servers running on one box is one of the things that's new with 12. You may all find that that's a big deal and that it allows you to have kind of more than zero downtime. It may be that it's not as big of a deal for you all. So we had another question on the presentation available offline. Let me show you, let me just make sure I understand what the question is. Get a browser up that showcases this. If I go to the website for blamis.com, for instance, and take a look at that, you'll see that the presentation is available for this. Here's what the website looks like for Blamis software for Papers and Presentations 2015. And so if I scroll down on that or come down here, you'll see at the bottom, month of IOUGB of Techcasts. And these replays are available for all. Obviously, the replay is not available for today's webcast, but if you wanted to see on the upgrading presentation, if you click on this watch replay, it shows up an extra window. You click on the play button, or for that matter, once you click on play, you can watch this full screen in YouTube, and it presents on how to do a BI 12.2.1 migration. So yes, that's available, and the presentations themselves, a PDF of the PowerPoints is available for each one of these as well. So those are available up on our website. And then this will be up here as well. So the question was, will this presentation be available offline? You can click on the presentation. That would allow you to download the presentation. And the replay, I don't know, there's probably a way to get YouTube videos offline, but it's going to be a significantly big file for that. So just be aware of that. Give one last chance for questions to come in, and otherwise I'm going to close the webcast, and thank everybody for joining. So with that, I think I'm going to close the webcast. Thanks so much for everybody for joining, and take a look at our Papers and Presentations page. And if you want to learn more about this, we'd love to talk to any of you about moving you up to 12c. We do have a quick start package that will help you migrate up to that release. So thank you, everybody.